Hi guys, I'm Erik Voss, and Rogue One: A Star Wars Story is now in theaters, and so much about this movie blew me away. But for right now, I just want to talk about one thing in particular: the visual effects and the surprisingly good CGI that was used to recreate certain characters from the original Star Wars film. And obviously, I'm about to get into some major spoilers, so you should probably just go watch Rogue One first. But honestly, this story and the characters that I'm going to talk about have all been around for like 40 years now. So what, am I supposed to not talk about this? Come on, this is my life. This is all I have. Okay, so Rogue One tells the story of the events that led up to the original Star Wars: A New Hope, literally catching us up to the exact moment that Princess Leia receives the Death Star plans that she hands off to R2-D2 at the beginning of that movie. And I don't know about you guys, but when the opening night audience that I watched the movie with saw the face of Princess Leia, Carrie freaking Fisher herself, but like 40 years younger somehow, we lost our freaking minds. There was this massive gasp, and no joke, I literally heard someone whisper, "It's magic." It was me. I said that. I shouted it, actually. But the thing is, it's not magic. It's just really impressive and probably super expensive visual effects by George Lucas's special effects and animation studio, Industrial Light and Magic. So I guess magic was kind of part of it. And obviously, Rogue One did the same thing to recreate Grand Moff Tarkin, originally played by Peter Cushing, who died in 1994, as well as the Gold Leader and the Red Leader in the Battle of Scarif. So how did the filmmakers pull this off? It's a complicated process that uses a mix of body double actors and computer-generated mapping of archive footage over the stand-in's face, using motion capture and reanimating it all to make the facial expressions and move the lips in a way to make them speak the new dialogue.
We're mutants, Gene. We are like you.
And for this to look even close to authentic, you need an actor who can closely match the original actor's facial structure, expressions, gestures, just pretty much do the perfect full body impression of them. And you may remember the video that we did when a similar process was used to finish the late Paul Walker scenes in Fast and Furious 7. In that case, Paul Walker's brothers stepped in as body doubles, and the finished product was pretty good. But this was not easy to do for Tarkin. Last year, rumors from a source close to Rogue One called it one of the most complex and costly CGI recreations ever. Now, apparently, when George Lucas filmed the first Star Wars, Peter Cushing didn't feel comfortable wearing the awkward leather riding boots that the Imperial officers had to wear. And he complained so much that George Lucas allowed him to wear slippers on set. And he just shot him from the knees up or from behind the Death Star conference table. So for Rogue One, they didn't have a lot of footage options to work with, and they had to rely on some of Cushing's previous work on horror films. And by the way, that might be why this version of Tarkin that we saw briefly in Revenge of the Sith looked kind of weird. So they hired British actor Guy Henry. You may remember him as the corrupt Minister of Magic in the final two Harry Potter films, or if you're into BBC hospital soap operas, Dr. Henrik Hansen on Holby City. So this guy has a very similar, long, angular face as Peter Cushing, and the way he talks is eerily similar.
You have nothing to fear.
And if you look closely at the Star Wars Celebration reel footage that came out last summer, you can see Guy Henry on set before he was transformed into Tarkin. And in case you were curious, that's actually Guy Henry doing Tarkin's voice. A source close to the film actually confirmed this for us. Now, for Princess Leia, they used young Norwegian actress Ingvild Dale. And notice that she has a strikingly similar round, full face and round eyes that Carrie Fisher had when she was 20 years old. Now, Dale hasn't appeared in much other than a minor role in Avengers: Age of Ultron. So then it was a matter of going through hours and hours of archived footage and using it all to create 3D animations of Peter Cushing's and Carrie Fisher's faces to map over the body doubles, rendering them frame by frame with realistic skin textures to make it all seamless. And in addition to Fast and Furious 7, you may remember this effect being used recently to make actors look younger, like Anthony Hopkins in Westworld and Robert Downey Jr. in Captain America: Civil War. Actually, Industrial Light and Magic did the effects for Civil War too, and the animators on that film talked about how ILM has this massive library of image scans to use as references. And knowing George Lucas, that library probably includes all kinds of footage and angles and digital remasters. And he's probably like,
I got Annie and Jar Jar too if you guys need it. No? Oh, okay.
And in Rogue One, all the effects were overseen by Oscar-winning visual effects wizard John Knoll of Industrial Light and Magic. This guy is one of the best. He did all the Star Wars prequels and the Pirates of the Caribbean movies, a ton of stuff. In fact, it was John Knoll who originally pitched the initial idea for Rogue One's story. And obviously, a lot of the success of this movie depended on Knoll's confidence in his team's ability to authentically recreate Tarkin and Leia to have that payoff when we see how this story fits in with the original Star Wars. And according to director Gareth Edwards, after a lot of blood, sweat, and tears, and Knoll assuring them, we can do this, we can do it, I think they pulled it off. Now, Tarkin didn't look 100% authentic, especially the movement of his mouth, but he looked better than any other time this has been used. And to be honest, I couldn't see any difference at all with Leia. And maybe that's just because as a younger actress at the time, Carrie Fisher had fewer wrinkles and blemishes on her face, a lot less detail than Peter Cushing had as Tarkin, so it was easier to kind of recreate that. And whether or not this looked believable to you, you gotta admit it ended up being a huge part of what made Rogue One so enjoyable. That cold, menacing presence of Tarkin as they have him say, and then that closing image of a young, radiant Carrie Fisher saying hope as the story moves right into A New Hope. Now, I know using old footage like this can come off as somewhat in poor taste, especially when the actor has passed away, as in Cushing's case. And some people were saying this took him out of the movie a little bit, kind of like they were bringing the actor back from the dead and it looked a little video gamey and they should have just cast a similar looking actor like Genevieve O'Reilly as Mon Mothma. But just to be clear, the film did get a blessing and the rights to use Cushing's likeness from his family and estate. They also credited Carrie Fisher, not sure about Garvin Dreiss or John Vander though. And sure, it's fair to be concerned about what this could lead to in filmmaking. Like, it's possible to get to a point where every actor's past performances are repurposed and distorted in a way that they didn't agree to when they initially signed on to make the film. But honestly, so far, that hasn't really happened. Grand Moff Tarkin and Princess Leia were brought back in a specific way by the same visual effects company to complete the story as the characters were in the original film, while giving Tarkin's cruelty even more depth. That's not changing the character, and it's definitely not Greedo shooting first. Alright, keep an eye out for other Rogue One videos that we're putting out. I'm going to talk about how exactly Rogue One's story connects to A New Hope, and I'm planning a larger, super in-depth breakdown of all the Easter eggs and references to the Star Wars universe in this movie, because there were so freaking many. It's going to take me at least like 5 screenings to catch all of them. And please hit like and subscribe to New Rockstars and share this video with your friends. Also, make sure to click that bell icon to receive email notifications when our videos come out. YouTube's been a bit weird about that lately. You can also contribute to us on Patreon. Thank you so much to all of our current donors, and if you're not currently a patron, that's okay, but we would love your support. You can hit me up on Twitter at EA Voss with any thoughts that you had about Rogue One, or you can follow New Rockstars on Twitter at New Rockstars for updates on when our videos are coming out. Alright, thanks for watching. Bye.